everyone. I am Renisha Davis, professionally known as the Legacy CPA. Today we are here with Gigi, and we're going to be interviewing her for Behind the Beauty, her new book that is set to come out in January.
Yes.
So, Gigi, how does it feel to get your feelings out on paper and write your first book?
Yes. Actually, this is my second book.
Second book? Okay.
Yes. So my first book is called Really Are You Serious? Relationship Chronicles about dating in Atlanta. This is when I was single, y'all. This was like 11 years ago. So this is a totally different book. Behind the Beauty is for entrepreneurs, whether you're in the beauty business or any other industry. It's going to help you structure your back office. I feel like the back office is not talked about enough. I feel like we always talk about how much money we make and how to build business credit, but it's like, are you paying taxes? Are you protecting your business? Are you protecting your brand? Do you have insurance? And I feel like when we start talking about that, people are like, no.
So would you say Behind the Beauty is more like a checklist, or is it more than that?
I feel like it's more than a checklist. I feel like it's a tool and a guide to help people. Now, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a CPA. Mm-hmm. So I'm just giving my experiences and why it's important to reach out to these people to protect your business.
Mm-hmm. What made you want to pick it in this particular category? Did you find or did not find other books that were in this area, or maybe ones that weren't as complete and real, which prompted you to write this book?
That's a good question. I feel like I'm Black.
Let's throw that out
right?
there.
So I would read certain books and it wasn't necessarily tailored to me and how I talk and my language. I can understand certain things about it, but I wanted something that I could relate to. And so I feel like, working as an entrepreneur, I feel like people will understand the lingo where, sometimes the big words is like, what that mean? Right? So I'm trying to, so I'm like breaking it down like kindergarten style. So it doesn't matter your level of education, because a lot of people in my industry, they might have had a GED. They probably only went to barber school. They probably only went to nail school. They probably only went to cosmetology school. So everybody doesn't necessarily get a degree. So I didn't want to be talking about certain things. And they're like, what? Right? So just regular language to where they can understand.
Now, I know that like when we start businesses, there is a huge checklist. And then when we go about the checklist, we're like, oh, we got to add more things to the checklist. And it can become overwhelming, right? What would you say are your top 2 checklist items that are non-negotiable that someone has to do no matter what?
Number 1, you need to know your numbers. Number 1, you got to know the numbers. Number 2, I would say budgeting those numbers. So you have to know your P&L, which is profit and loss, which I was not looking at that. I probably started looking at that about 4 years ago. I went to BeautyCon. That's like a big conference in LA. And my client was like, you should go out there. And they had these little side chats with Shopify and different people. And it was like Super Scent was there. And another girl was there. And they was just talking about the business. And they were like, what's your P&L? Like, do you know how much money it takes to run your business, to operate it? And I'm sitting there like, no. But the other people there were like, yeah. Like they knew how much money they were going to make that month. They were forecasting. I was sitting there like, I thought I had it going on. And I was just like, oh, okay. No, I don't. So I was taking notes. And I feel like when I came back to Atlanta, I came back with a different mentality, because I do feel like at that time I was hanging around people. I was Atlantified, I ain't gonna lie. I wanted, all the designer stuff and the cars, the clothes, and be at certain restaurants. And, you kind of lose track of what you're doing this for. So I feel like it's cool to have nice things, but you want to retire. You want to make sure that you're protecting yourself. You want to make sure that you know your numbers, because if you fall behind on that, you could lose your business. And I wanted longevity. So I started seeking out a CPA. I started seeking out a trademark attorney, someone who specialized in that. So I started investing my money that way, because I wanted to scale my business and also have control and know what it takes to continue to grow it.
Speaking of trademarks, I got a sneak peek of the new book. So you talk about trademarks. You talk about an area in your life where you've almost been sued and you've had to do the suing. Can you talk about why that's near and dear to protecting your legacy and why that's so important to make sure you stand on big business?
Listen, it ain't nothing like being at work and you get a phone call from your lawyer saying, where you at? I'm at work. Can you talk? Yeah, what's going on? You sitting down? No, do I need to sit down? Yeah, sit down. Okay, what's up? So why I just received a letter from Chanel. I'm like, Chanel to do lashes? She like, no, Coco Chanel, the purse that you carry, Chanel. I'm like, what do you mean? So it's something out there called policing your trademark. And they hire people to look out to see if anything mimics or reflects their trademark. So I had this logo. It was like G's this way. So you would have thought it was Gucci. Not Chanel, but I guess the interlocking. Something with the interlocking, they didn't like it. They felt like people could have got confused from it. So at that point, I had just purchased my first brow kit. And I was just like, I just invested all my money. You know, I had flyers, I had banners, I had a website, I had all these marketing materials that I already invested in that I could no longer use anymore. So she said we could sell through what we had. I had Brow Boss t-shirts and all this stuff, and they were just like, you can sell through what you have, but after that you can't use it anymore. So
they didn't want the profits?
Nope.
Wow.
And that's, my lawyer was like, we had a good person, because normally they would want like what you made off of it, you know? Yeah. So I looked up, and then with Hugo Boss, they own Boss, so the Brow Boss t-shirts, they let me sell through those, but then after that I could no longer use the Brow Boss.
So both of them were generous.
Yeah, they were. Because I'm like, you know, what can I do? These are multi-million-dollar brands, you know. So if like people were saying like, oh, you should have been flattered, it's like I was scared because, you know, I was new as an entrepreneur. So I'm like, I know I can't go up against companies like this. Right. And then, I mean, the little money that I'm making, it's like I'm breaking even. So if I would have had to share anything, that could have like took me under.
Right. And shut you down.
Yeah.
So I'm a math girly through and through, so I like to quantify things, right? So you talked about how you had invested in everything to build this business. Did you ever, like, knowing what you know now, when we think about P&L and costs, you know where I'm going, right? Did you ever look back and quantify how much actually went out the door to invest in all of these things? Like, can you quantify it for the girlies that, you know, if they're sitting on the other end of that screen and they're like, oh, well, I'm still, regardless of if I get the cease and desist, like, I'm still do it, right? Can you quantify like what it cost you back then when you first started out with those investments?
Between the CPA, the trademark attorney, getting multiple insurances, because not only do I do like brow wax and tint, I also do tattoo. Yeah. So those are separate. Yeah. Well over 10,000. Yeah. Right. And I feel like people don't want to make the investment on that, but you would buy a purse that costs $6,000. But it's like something that's going to help you bring and build a legacy, as you talk about. Yeah. Why not spend that money there? Yeah. And that's what I'm about.
Yeah. Yeah. And did that 10,000 investment include the other things that you ultimately had to like rebrand for, or was that a separate budget?
That was separate.
Wow.
That was separate.
Wow.
Yeah, because another thing I learned with trademarking is you're not trademarking one thing. It's not a one size fits all. So because I have like 7 or 8 trademarks, you're paying for each one. So yeah, it added up. Yeah. It added. Thank God I got them all though, because you know later down in the book I had to sue someone. So yeah. So
we talked about you. Look, we're getting there. So we talked about you being on the other side of receiving the cease and desist. Let's talk about imitation not being the best form of flattery. And let's talk about you now being in the position to police your own brand and protect your own brand. What was that like for you? And, you know, tell us, like, you know, the 30-second elevator of how it happened and how it made you feel.
Okay.
In that point.
I was very green. So I was definitely one of those people because I feel like I'm the entrepreneur of my family. So everybody else, they worked a job. You know, they were a nurse, they were a lawyer, they were someone who worked at General Motors. So for me, I was like the first entrepreneur. So when I moved into my salon suite building, I'm meeting all these other entrepreneurs. So I'm like, oh, we're all like super cool. We're all entrepreneurs. So I was showing love. I was being nice to everybody when I should have just came in there and went into my suite and, hey, y'all, bye, and walked right out of there. So a lot of people who I thought were naturally, organically being kind to me, they wanted something from me because I wasn't looking at myself for who I was at the time, right? So because I had a clientele, they wanted some of that clientele. But I'm thinking, okay, you're bringing me tea, you're bringing me coffee. You know, sometimes we might go to Starbucks, we might go to the spa together. That now we cool, we got a rapport. But you really doing this because you wanted something from me. So it hurt. Because I thought we were cool, but you were really being slick and trying to take from me.
And did this person, like, what did they try to trademark?
They didn't try to trademark. They copied everything that I had.
Oh.
Yeah, they copied from the color scheme of my salon to the logo, to the branding, to products. And it's so funny because they were right next door to me.
Yeah.
So initially when she came, I'm like, oh, okay, she does nails. So, you know, everybody in the building was like, we thought that was your place because I had another place down the hall and then I had the new spot where I was at. So people just thought it was a continuation, that it was all mine because of the color scheme. But I was like, well, you know, she do nails, so it's not a thing. And then she came to me later and was like, hey, you know, my friends, their place flooded, so they're going to be with us for a while. One of them, you know, you do brows and lashes. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, we're in a salon suite building, whatever. But I would, you know, recommend her to my clients. So I said, my clients that come to you, as long as they don't solicit to my clients that I refer to you, I'm good. Now, if they decide that they want to try them out on their own, that's fine.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah. And what y'all think happened? What you think happened?
So when you sent her the cease and desist, did she immediately stop, or was it a battle?
No, they laughed. Ha 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 he he. Like, you know, like it was going to be nothing. And I'm like, okay, laugh now, cry later.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I feel like what took it to the level of me sending a cease and desist is it was they were already doing stuff and I wasn't tripping, right? Because I do believe in God and I believe what's for me is for me. So I was like, you know what? I ain't gonna worry about it. Until I walked in one day and I saw the logo and it was blue and it was similar and I was just like fuming all day. So I am a professional person, so I did wait until like the end of the night. And I confronted her, not the girls, because me and her, like, we're cool. We're hanging out outside of here. So how are you agreeing with this and you put this on your window and you're right next door to me? I felt like a drug dealer. Like, you on this my block. You can't come on my block with this. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be right next door doing this to me. So it had me questioning myself because I'm naturally like a bubbly, nice person. But I'm not a weak person. So I didn't want her to get that confused that just because we cool, you can't do no stuff like this right next to me and think I'm not going to do anything about it. So we got into it. You know, she was crying and we're friends and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, yeah, you have to take that down. And they were taking their time with taking it down. So then I had to hit them with the cease and desist. They laughed at that. Then I had to hit them with the lawsuit.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wasn't playing.
Yeah, standing on big business is hard, right? And I think a lot of professionals struggle with prioritizing where to stand on big business. And you talked about prioritizing knowing your numbers. And you know, the policing of the brand can get dicey fast if you don't have the investment to stand on the big business and invest in it, right?
Yes.
So kudos to you for actually doing what, you know, like protecting what you built. Because at the end of the day, I do believe that when you are trying to protect your brand and what you build, the value of the brand today is completely different than where the value of the brand will grow to. And understanding the investment required to stop somebody from diluting the brand is critical. So where's your book going to be published? Is it going to be on Amazon? Where can people find your book?
So my book is going to be on Amazon. It's going to be on my website. And I go and I speak at a lot of different conferences and schools. So I also have them on hand. Yeah. And I'm just so excited about it.
Are you going to do a book tour?
I am. And so that's so funny that you say that, because I was like, I'm going to do a book signing here in Atlanta. And a lot of my other students who live in other cities, they're like, what about coming to Miami? What about coming to DC? And I'm like, oh, I would love that. Yeah. I would love to do that, because I am forming my own community, because I feel like I'm not trying to be a mentor, but I definitely want to be a person who can help you with your business. I feel like if you already have your business, you have clients, you just need resources. You just need the right information. So that's what I'm here to help them with. Accountability.
Awesome. Yes. That's going to be nice. I think a lot of people struggle with that, or knowing how to ask for help. I think as women, we naturally want to do all the things ourselves. But I think there's profit in community that can be unveiled that a lot of people don't understand. So building a community and traveling with that community would be like A1 for sure.
I love it. And then I just feel like we spoke about it earlier, how you feel like you can do everything by yourself. Right? Which some things I feel like you can get done, but it's better if you could be assisted and help with that.
Right.
You know, and I'm not an insecure person, so I don't mind giving out my knowledge, my information to people.
Yeah.
Now, I can't make you use the knowledge and the information, but I'm going to try to help you with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's all I can do. And so I just realized from speaking at these conferences and talking to my students that, okay, I'm like talking about this all the time. So instead of me talking about it, why not create a book and it's all there? And you don't have to just read through the whole book. You can just go right to the chapter. You can go to trademarking. You can go to how to build your business credit. You can go to, you know, consistency is key.
Yeah.
You can go to those things without reading the whole book. It's 60 pages.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when they go, I know that we talked about that the book is a work. It's like a manual.
Yes.
Is the book structured in a manner where they have assignments inside of the book, or is it more like a general guide?
It's more like a general guide, but I would say in the beginning of the book, I do ask a couple of questions for them to understand what they're trying to do, right? So like, what is the point of you starting this business? Who is your audience, right? What problem are you solving? How much money do you want to make, right? Because I feel like we just say, oh, I want to open a business. But it's like, you need to know these things, because you can't just target everybody. You need to niche down, right? So asking all those questions so they will know the answer.
As they're working through the book. Well, thank you, Gigi, for telling us some of the top secrets that were inside of your book. If you guys are interested in getting this book, not if you're interested, go ahead and pick up the book when it comes out in January. We don't want to give away all of the secrets, but if you are looking to start your business and understand behind the beauty, this is going to be for you.